Alright guys, welcome back to our Hammering at Home series where we take one point from Pastor Joel's message from this past Friday and we begin to meditate on it, remember it, devour it, and just apply it to our life. So just a quick reminder, we meet every Friday at 6:30 in the church parking lot until further notice because we are on a 57-hour lockdown pretty much every weekend. So please remember, every Friday at 6:30 we meet in the church parking lot, we gather together, we stay in our cars, we social distance, we begin to worship the Lord and just hear the word as well. Okay, Pastor spoke out of Mark chapter 2 and going on to chapter 3. And then I'm going to go to chapter 3 real quick, starting at verse 1. And this is what it says. Another time Jesus went into the synagogue, and a man with a shivered hand was there. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. So they watched him closely to see if he would if he would heal him on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with a shivered hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." Then Jesus asked, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save life or to kill?" But they remained silent. He looked around at them in anger and deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts. Said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. Then the Pharisees went out and began to plot with the Herodians how they might kill Jesus. All right. Now, the point I want to focus on this particular passage right here is this. Now, in chapter 2, also, they were trying to do the same exact thing. All these Pharisees were doing was they were trying to pick apart everything Jesus was doing, everything that his disciples were doing as well. And the point I want to get across, and just remember that sometimes we fall in the mindset of a Pharisee. We study the word, we read, we worship, we do everything we're supposed to do to be Christian. And sometimes we fall in that mentality of how we begin to pick apart Jesus and everything that he's doing, and everything that God's doing. We begin to pick things apart and say, that doesn't make sense, so it can't be right. Or we pick apart God's chosen people, the pastor, the worship leader, the children's church, whoever it may be that's in leadership. We begin to pick apart their lives and everything that they're doing, and you begin to say, well, that's not supposed to be done like that, so they're wrong, or they're not doing that the right way, and they're not helping me the way I'm supposed to be helped, right? I think sometimes as Christians we become so pharisaical and we become these Pharisees in parts of our lives at the same time. We begin to look at and tell God, hey, that doesn't make sense to me, so we start to pick apart these things and try to blame God, or we try to take it and discredit God in it at the same time, right? And right here we see that Jesus does it anyway. So Jesus heals this person, and God's going to continue to heal people and continue to do his work with or without us. So we can be the Pharisees and be the people that are always naysayers and always picking apart what Jesus is doing and what Jesus' people is doing as well. Or we can be like disciples, or we can lead, and we can follow Jesus' example as well and just begin to do God's work. Okay. We don't want to get in that Pharisee mentality where we just begin to pick things and say, well, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. And we forget who we're serving. Our mindset, our hearts are no longer focused on Jesus, but on the acts themselves and the right and the wrong, right? These Pharisees right here knew the word, they knew the Bible, but they did not have that relationship with Jesus, right? If they had that relationship with Jesus, they wouldn't be picking apart. They wouldn't be telling Jesus, hey, you're doing wrong. They wouldn't be trying to find fault in what Jesus is doing and find fault in what the disciples are doing, right? They didn't have that relationship with him. So that's why they were so conniving. They were conniving. They were just bad people because, as you can see at the end of that in verse 6, they got together with some people to kill Jesus. That's crazy. These people and their insecurities are so big that they plotted to kill Jesus. We don't want to be like that. We don't want to plot things in our head Obviously, we can't physically kill Jesus, but we can kill things that he's trying to work through us. We don't want to be like those Pharisees and continue to find fault in everything that Jesus and the people that he appoints do. So let's start with our relationship with him. Let's start asking God why and how to do things so that he can move in us, and stop being so pharisaical and start picking apart everything that doesn't make sense to us just because we're Christian and it's not the same way that we did it in the past, okay? But yeah, guys, let's not be like those Pharisees. Let's just find good in everything that Jesus is doing, even though it doesn't make sense to us. We want to remember that he's in control of everything, and he will bring glory out of everything as well, as long as we focus on him, all right? Guys, just a reminder, we meet every Friday at 6:30. We'll see you guys in the next one.